But yeah, cool. So guys, thanks so much for joining me here today. I'm Justin Feldman. I'm the co-founder and CFO of Accounting Clients Accelerator. And in today's agenda, we're going to be talking about three things. We're going to be talking about picking a niche. We're going to be talking about the three core tenets to every business, and we're going to be talking about outsourcing. Cool. Just going to check one more time. Okay, cool. Cool. So obviously, guys, really excited to be chatting on these three topics today. And thanks so much for coming to listen to me. And if you stick around to the end of the call, I'm going to be giving you guys a special gift for having me on here today. So yeah, so basically, my whole story began a couple of years ago. I was working at Grant Thornton in Johannesburg, and I was spending these crazy late hours working for clients that didn't really appreciate our work. They didn't really like us, and I was really working long hours, and we were never really seeing any fantastic progress. And one night, my audit partner turned to me. He was kind of an old school, no nonsense type of guy, and he said, "Justin, how are we looking on the budget?" So, I turned to him and I said, Jacques, we've gone over budget again. He was super frustrated, and, he kind of said to me, why are we going over budget? And I said to him, why are we working with these clients? Why don't we leave them and get new clients? And he said to me, Justin, this is how this industry works. It works on word of mouth. This is our clients. There's nothing we can do about it. So fast forward a year, and I went to go work in for another audit firm in New York. And, the clients were unbelievable. They really had such high quality clients. We always made budget. When we asked for stuff, they gave it to us. And, they were super organized. And, at the time I was working for a audit partner. His name was Greg. And he was like this very young tech savvy guy. And I said to him one day, I said to him, Greg, how do we have such good clients? When I was working at my last firm, the quality of the clients were poor. Like, how do you have such good clients? He said to me, Justin, if the clients aren't good, we simply get rid of them and we find new clients. So this really surprised me. I said to Greg, I said, how is that possible? How many word of mouth referrals are you getting that you can kind of just tell people to leave? And, what he shared with me next kind of changed my life and opened my eyes up to this whole kind of world of marketing. And this is what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. So basically, I'm going to be sharing with you all the lessons that I learned from Greg and implemented in my own business over the last few years, helping accountants in many different countries in multiple different cities. So the first thing what I learned was, first and foremost, and this blew my mind in my own business, is that before I started, being an accountant, I was always taught to, look at the profit and loss statement. So when I used to see marketing, I'd see it as an operating expense, and you want to keep that operating expense as low as possible. And if possible, just not even actually spend on marketing. And I really firmly held that belief, because that's just kind of how my world was shaped. I spent 4 years at Grant Thornton and at another firm in New York called Feldman LLP. And I kind of really was taught like this expenses low as possible. And, what I learned from Greg was, if you get your marketing right, it can be extremely powerful and extremely profitable, and can be one of your largest asset generating tools in your business. And, I've utilized that in my own business. And I think at one point in time, we had spent $3,000 in marketing and we had generated about $30,000 in revenue. So one of the first lessons I learned from Greg, which was really interesting, was the art of picking a niche. Now, picking a niche is actually speaking to a specific audience or target market. Now, this could be, as an accountant, your niche can be anyone. It could be construction workers, it could be doctors, it could be lawyers. And, a lot of accountants, when we tell them to pick a niche, they freak out. They think, how can I pick a niche? I don't even know what niche I'm good at. But guys, picking a niche, it's just about, marketing yourself in a specific way that you help a specific audience. You don't have to marry it. You don't have to service them for the rest of your life. It's just a way of identifying a specific target market of people and servicing them and marketing yourself as a person that services them. Now, why is this powerful? Number one, the difference, if you look at the difference between a specialist and a generalist, specialist gets paid a ton of money. A generalist doesn't really get paid a ton of money. Now, why is that? Let's look a little bit deeper. Specialists, they specialize in a specific skill set. So people will pay more for a specialist. So just as an example, if you are an accountant that specializes in the construction niche, people will pay you more. A construction business owner will pay you more than they would just a generalist accountant, because they understand that you've got a specialized skill. You understand the problems that they have at a deeper level than just every general kind of accountant. So that's the first reason why it's powerful. The second reason why it's powerful is this picture right over here. It's unfocused versus focused. So this on the left-hand side is your generalist accountant. He's got very limited knowledge in a whole bunch of different niches. So he doesn't have really specialized knowledge, but he kind of understands well enough to do it. But what makes the person on the right extremely powerful is they really, really understand their niche and they could really service it at the highest level. So they know all the tax problems. They know all, because in each niche, they have specific problems that are the same. In the construction niche, they have projects. They don't know how to price their projects and it's all kind of the same, or they have the same, or like, if you look at dentists, they are entitled to certain tax deductions that most of them aren't taking advantage of, whether it's, through R&D. And most niches, they have these common problems, and if you understand them, it's a lot easier to sell to more of those types of people. If you understand their problems, you can really speak to them at a much deeper level, and you understand their problems at a much deeper level. So, and focus is, the more focused you are on one niche, the easier it is to service them, because you know what you're in for. It's going to be the same problem, same thing. So guys, these are the three core tenets to every business. There's prospecting, there's sales, and there's fulfillment. Now, this is in every single business, no matter what business you look at. If you look at Apple, if you look at an accounting business, if you look at Tesla, they've all got these three engines running. They've got the prospecting, they've got the sales, and they've got the fulfillment. So let's talk about them individually. So what are these three core tenets? Prospecting. So this is the art of going into the marketplace and getting people to put up their hand and say, yes, I'd like to hear about your services. I'd like to hear more about what you're offering. So, this is done, prospecting is done by multiple ways. There's so many ways to prospect. Prospecting could be putting a leaflet on someone's car, for example. That's an example. That is legitimately prospecting. When someone comes up to you and puts a pamphlet on your car, they're prospecting. When someone puts a billboard up on the side of the highway, they're prospecting. When someone's running a Facebook ad, they're prospecting. When someone's running LinkedIn campaigns, they're prospecting. So these are all just different kinds of prospecting. Then you've got sales. What is selling? So selling is just literally when that prospect comes in and it says, hey, I would like to hear what you have to offer. Selling is the art of basically conveying how your solution is going to solve their problem. So that is pretty much the art of sales. And sales doesn't have to be what the movies say. The movies, they make it seem like it's Jordan Belfort and it's like this crazy thing of shoving products down people's face, which is totally not what sales is at all. Sales is legitimately finding out where someone is now, currently, what their goals are, and positioning yourself, your service, as that kind of tool that's going to help them achieve their goal and get to their goal. That is ultimately what sales is. It's not this crazy thing of being energetic. It's literally about meeting people eye to eye, understanding their problems, and seeing if your services can solve their problem. That is what sales is. And then fulfillment is literally just the doing. So fulfillment in accounting is the tax return. Fulfillment at Tesla is the car. But ultimately, all of these three engines need to be running. And if you are currently in your accounting practice and you are doing all three, so you're doing the prospecting, you are doing the sales, and you're doing the fulfillment, I can imagine that, and I've seen this a lot. You wouldn't be the first people to be doing this, but this is going to be very, very painful, and you really are going to be stuck in the business. If this is you, please put a 2 in the chat. Would love to hear from you guys. Don't feel bad about it. A lot of accountants are stuck doing all three. Ultimately, you want to either outsource some of these roles, because you could outsource all of them. You could outsource any of them, which we're going to discuss a bit further. But all these roles could be outsourced, or you could hire someone to fulfill on them. So this is the question that people want to know, when it comes to prospecting, sales, and fulfillment. Which one, should you outsource it or should you hire people? So let's look at it one by one. So when it comes to fulfillment, there's different things you can do for fulfillment. You can hire someone. So you could hire, let's say on the fulfillment side, when it comes to doing your taxes or doing your bookkeeping, you can hire someone. So you can hire someone in America, and you could hire them. Obviously, that comes with drawbacks. There's pros and cons, right? You hire someone, it's very, very expensive, especially if you're doing bookkeeping and you hire an American. You can hire, and that way, you've got control of them. You see them day to day, and you know that the quality of their work is going to be very good. Or you can outsource, which is a lot cheaper and it's a lot more scalable. So a lot of firms are starting to do that in North America, especially guys with, we need to be real here, like in terms of wages are going up. It's harder to hire people now with what's going on in the current climate, with whether it's government handouts, all these sorts of things are making employing people a lot harder. So ultimately, as business owners, we have to make a decision. Do we want to just keep increasing our wages, or do we want to outsource? And I can tell you now, it sounds strange. A lot of firms that we're working with are outsourcing to India. And it doesn't mean, the quality of the work's going to go down. You could really find high quality for a lot cheaper, and you could just review the work. So instead of, it can turn, even if you're doing it yourself, instead of spending 5 hours on bookkeeping, you can outsource it, get someone else to do it, and turn a 5-hour bookkeeping into a 1-hour review. It's a great strategy, and a lot of people are doing this. Then we've got sales. So I would say to you guys, this is the last thing you should hire or outsource, because this is the most important part of the business. It's the lifeblood. Without sales coming in, you will not be obviously making more revenue. And no one's going to sell your services quite like you. No one's going to understand like you. No one's going to care as much as you. So this is the last piece of the puzzle you need to outsource. It's the most important thing that you as the business owner is doing, is the selling. Cool. Then there is prospecting. So this is the art of going into the marketplace and generating leads. Prospecting, this is something you can definitely outsource. There's definitely a lot of marketing agencies you could pay to generate you leads. Or ultimately, you could also hire someone. You could hire someone internally and teach them how to generate leads. And that's also a great strategy. Cool, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. Just remember, guys, just stick around to the end. We are going to be giving you this a gift. And this is basically what this is if you go to accountingclientsaccelerator.com/4 steps, this will enable you to get this gift. And yeah, guys, so that is pretty much everything on the prospecting, sales, and fulfillment side. Do you guys have any questions around, I'd love to hear from you guys, which side of it are you outsourcing? Which side would you like to be outsourcing? Would love to hear from you guys. Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. If any of you are having issues around, the prospecting side, I would love to hear from you. How are you currently dealing with your prospecting? Which platforms are you using? Because currently, so the industry has changed quite a bit. A month ago, LinkedIn was a fantastic place to network and generate leads. And the reality is that they put in new restrictions right now. And I would tell you guys that, LinkedIn is currently not the right place to be generating leads and to be generating sales calls, unfortunately. So now they currently went from, we used to be able to connect with 50 people a day, and it's now gone down to roughly 20 people a week. So a lot of people that used to be having success on LinkedIn are now no longer having success. So now, a lot better strategies now are looking at, turning to Facebook ads to generate leads, as well as Facebook organic is another great strategy to generate leads. Does anyone here have any questions around sales or marketing for accountants? I would love to hear, anything around, what you're currently doing in terms of your sales, anything you're currently having issues with, anything you're struggling with in terms of sales or marketing. Would love to help you guys. Okay, cool. Well, if there's no other questions, what I'll do is I'll put this link for you in the chat. So it is accountingclientsaccelerator.com/4-steps. And what that's going to do, it's basically going to get you access to a 4-step method to basically generating more client opportunities in your accounting practice. So again, https://accountingclientsaccelerator.com/4-steps. And in there, you're basically going to get access to a strategy that's going to generate you on average 12 to 20 client opportunities each month. Let me just go ahead and put that in the chat for you guys. It's in Clients Accelerator. I'll just put that in the chat for you guys so you guys have access to that. There you go. Cool. Does anyone have any other questions on sales or marketing for accountants? Would love to hear, your current strategies. What do you find is working the best for you guys? Would you say, are you using Google Ads? Are you using Facebook? Are you using LinkedIn? Let me see. Apparently, there's a question. Okay. So I got a question here from Anonymous. Do you expect LinkedIn to come back at some point in terms of success for finding leads? So the answer to that is no. And the reason for that is because it's now actually become a place kind of like cold. So any form of prospecting, it starts off being a great place until too many marketers and too many people start using it. The same thing like 20 years ago, cold email actually used to be a great strategy. It really did. It was a great strategy. Even cold calling used to be a great strategy. The problem was that then a whole bunch of marketers got hold of people's contact numbers and started phoning people constantly or cold emailing people to the point where people just switch off and they don't anymore take those platforms seriously. So the same thing has now happened to LinkedIn, where it's basically been almost, you can say, corrupted. Most countries, where the average business owner is getting hit up 10 times a day. So in the marketing world, people are starting to talk of it as more of like it's become like the cold email of the marketing world. So it's like, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It will work, but it's like, it's just not as effective. Like now we're finding that the best place to generate leads right now is Facebook. It's fantastic. Like that is where our clients are generating still on the same level as what it used to be. So they're still generating between 12 and 20 client opportunities each month using Facebook. We're able to book 8 appointments a month for our clients on Facebook, whereas LinkedIn, it's more along the lines of 2 booked meetings a month, if that, 1 to 2 booked meetings a month off of LinkedIn, whereas 6 months ago, it used to be 8 to 12. But Facebook is still a really, really great strategy for lead gen. I mean, there's nowhere in the history of mankind have we had 2 billion people all in the same place. So, and a lot of accountants, they have a lot of hesitancy to believe that business owners are sitting on Facebook. But I'll bet that out of the 15 of you listening to me, you're all business owners, you all have Facebook, and you all go on Facebook a couple, at least once a week. Most of us go on Facebook every single day. Like I find, I speak to business owners daily on Facebook. I generate meetings daily on Facebook. Our clients are generating meetings daily on Facebook. And I think a lot of accountants get caught up in, oh no, Facebook's for fun. It's not really, guys. Like Facebook's a seriously, seriously powerful tool to connect with people, and it should be used for that way. It shouldn't really be used for fun. It should actually be used to do business, because there's just nowhere in the world where there's 2 billion people in the same place looking at their phone every single day at that platform. So it's a great, and they all hang out somewhere on Facebook. It's about finding where they are. So example, if you're in the construction niche, you can find groups of construction business owners. They all hang around in groups. You just need to get into those groups and prospect there and meet people and network and show your authority, and you can get clients that way. And they're all there. Find doctors in the US, doctors in Canada. They all congregate on Facebook groups. So it's another great place to connect with people and generate leads. But yeah, good question. Does anyone else have any other questions over here on whether it's, even if it's sales? Another thing I'll quickly touch on is that, what we're finding is changing a lot in the industry is that, with stuff like QuickBooks and TurboTax, these platforms there's a big marketing push on their part to get people to, in 2020, they put something like $2 billion into a marketing campaign to get, this was TurboTax in America. They put a $2 billion budget into a marketing campaign to get people to be their own accountant. That was their slogan for 2020. It was like, be your own accountant or something along those lines. But basically what they're pushing is that people do their own tax. So it's kind of our job to kind of market ourselves differently and approach the situation differently. Instead of just being, the person who's going to do your taxes, it's, I'm going to save you money on tax. I'm going to do your planning. That's becoming a lot more popular approach, is tax planning. So it's no more pushing services, it's solving problems. Because that, at the end of the day, is a lot more appealing for a business owner. If you say to a business owner, look, I could save you X dollars in tax versus I'm going to do your tax for you. Because that just becomes that goes from an investment to an expense. So that's one way. And also, what a lot of our clients are doing now, which we help them with, is instead of just doing the bookkeeping, don't just offer straight up bookkeeping. Offer once a month of advisory services. So whether it's just, and you don't it doesn't have to be anything special. It's just sit with them at the end of each month and go through the numbers with them. So sit and go through, where you feel they're overexpending, where they're underexpending. Those sorts of things are hugely valuable for business owners. And it's small things like, and this is something that I learned from working with, because I'd worked with accountants my whole life, and it's only been the last 3 years that my business partner is a marketer. And the first time I drew up a budget for him, and a cash flow, it absolutely blew his mind. He couldn't believe, and it's so simple, but it's so much value for a business owner. So that's why when you're selling, you want to actually show them what that budget looks like, and sit with the business owner at the end of each month and be like, look, this is the budget I drew up for you. You could see each month, this is what your expenses have been. This is what your revenue's been. It's super, super valuable when they can actually see that, and you can sit with them and say, look, if you look in this month, your revenue's high, and in these months your revenue is lower. In those months we need to cut costs, or we need to increase the marketing to generate more business. But it's hugely valuable, guys, and I can't understate that. When you bring that to a business owner, there's huge value there. Most business owners, they run their business by looking at their bank account. So 90% of business owners, what they do is to look at their financial position, is they just look at their bank account, nothing else. They don't know what's happening in the coming months. I think as accountants, we kind of just take that for granted, and we think everyone is looking at cash flows, everyone's looking at budgets, but they totally not. And sometimes it blows my mind, because I have to watch all these sales calls. So I watch the calls from our clients, the accountants. I listen to their calls, and they speak to construction business owners, they speak to doctors, they speak to lawyers. And yeah, when you start showing the business owners, look, like, this is a budget, this is what it's going to do for you, you can actually see them sit up in their chair and they're like, oh wow, that could actually be valuable. But when we're not explaining that to them, and they don't know that that's the benefits they're going to be getting, they don't actually realize the benefits. So that's just some of the stuff that's really interesting. But definitely we're seeing a big push for tax planning is becoming a lot more of a service you guys should be offering than just doing taxes for people. Like, definitely tax planning is so valuable in terms of the money you could save, and the business owner can understand, and showing the business owner how to run their business. I mean, even for us, we got approached in our first year of operations. We had someone who said, we'll do your taxes for you. And they did it, and they charged us, I think it was $1,500. And that was that. Didn't hear from them again, and there was no benefit. It was just a service. They just did it. So the next time I'm going to find someone cheaper. But then what happened is 6 months later, someone came to us with tax planning, and that was so valuable for me, because even for me as an accountant, there was still a lot of stuff in American tax law that I didn't understand. But they sat with me and they showed me how to structure my business, how to use my expenses, what I should be spending on. And that, for me, I was like, okay, wow, this was super beneficial. I want to keep utilizing this person's services. So yeah, that was really valuable. Do you guys have any other questions? Is there any other questions on marketing or sales? Anything around, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Ads, SEO, or just generating leads in general, or selling your services? I would love to hear from you guys. Awesome, guys. Well, if there's nothing else.
Hey, Justin, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yep.
Awesome, yeah. So yeah, I don't see any questions, unfortunately. I was just checking under the Q&A. Yeah, I don't see anything. But yeah, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So they can just go to our website, accountingclientsaccelerator.com.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can put that in the chat. But yeah, on there you can basically reach us, and there's a whole bunch of free information there on how to generate more leads and get more clients.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for presenting today. And just to let everyone know, so the next 10 minutes or so are opening for the networking area. So our main stage panel starts at 3:30. So about the next 10 minutes you can spend in the networking area or the expo area. But yeah, thanks again, Justin. It was always great to have you at an event and always great information.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Alex. Appreciate
No
it.
problem. Thanks. Bye.
Cool. Cheers, guys.